Hello and welcome back to another video with me, Meoni, for Final Fantasy XIV. This time we're back on the subreddit Discord with the wonderful Aluna Minore /11 Mile, and of course the Final Fantasy XIV subreddit Discord's wonderful translation people, and all of the people here have put together this wonderful transcript of a recent interview with 4Gamer, GameWatch, and Gamer, with Yoshi P and the team with those various outlets, and it's all transcribed here in wonderful English for us to read, so thank you so much to those people for doing that. A link in the description will take you to the original blog.livedoor.japan link to give that some love, as well as a link to join the subreddit Discord and get involved with the Final Fantasy XIV subreddit. It's quite good. So let's go on through this then. So there's a couple of questions and also some info that we didn't have previously. Are there plans to prepare something like the intermediate hall that helps players learn their rotation? Yoshi P says that the developers do think that it's a task they'd like to tackle. They do, however, think that the instance dungeons you'll tackle throughout the main story can serve as a venue for self-learning. They do, however, acknowledge that there isn't something that is more akin to learning venues that is available for players, and think that it's something to address on, and they're discussing with the staff right now to see if that can be tackled. So yeah, that's basically that. An intermediate hall, would we want that? I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people are better off learning by, actually playing through those dungeons, but we'll see what they come up with. Regarding dungeons and 4-man trials available as Trust coming 6.1 onwards. So just to put this into, obviously for reference, in the live letter part 68, they mentioned how that 6.1 all the way till 6.5 onwards, they're working on a Realm Reborn 2.0 first, and then all the way up to like the end of Stormblood to try and bring all of the dungeons into, and trials, at least 4-player stuff, into Trust available, because they want to focus on allowing for people to play solo as well as with other people. So that's putting that into context. So let's go through these points. The Trust AIs are very much upgraded. Aurum Vale is an optional dungeon in the main story portion of the game, so it will not be converted. So that's one of the ones that will not be made into Trust availability. Trust system will not be referred to as a trust system anymore, coming as of 6.1, since the trust system is more about trying to raise the avatar of the Scion members, and that mindset stuck. And since the mandatory story dungeons in the Realm Reborn are closer to having a story NPC supporter helping you out in battle, so it's rather different in terms of direction. Think of the NPCs for each dungeon in a Realm Reborn are specified to the dungeon itself. So to give credence to that point, obviously there are moments where the Scions aren't actually present, so bringing those in would be kind of strange, especially if they're going to do something else. So it's likely we'll see some NPCs, probably Adventurer Squadron people, that sort of people, Adventurers Guild, that kind of NPC taking that place. You cannot level the dungeon-specific supporters, but they do have special interactions. Nameless adventurers will not actually have that many dialogue. That's to be expected. The main story roulette will be gone, Yoshida thinks. It will be consolidated as part of the dungeons available for duty roulette leveling, while the battle with Ultima Weapon will be similar to the ones with Titan and Ifrit back in the story mode of A Realm Reborn. They are 4-man, so you know what that means. So basically there will be Trust available. Gaius will not be given much information since he's the key character of A Realm Reborn, therefore is somewhat a spoiler. Yoshi P never said that it will be treated as a special case. What about the Magitech armor gimmick seen in Praetorium? This will be changed entirely, apparently. The 2 instance dungeons that were made in a hurry and ignored the usual content format will no longer be played in the future. So do your farewells or something. This is in reference to Cape Westwind specifically. That will be gone. I don't know what the other reference is here. Maybe I've mistaken that for something else. But Cape Westwind will be gone and will be replaced with a solo instance duty. Mainly because on the live letter they mentioned it was unfortunate that 8 players came in, annihilated Rittertin, and then left. And he was supposed to be kind of like a Guardian General, really. Kind of somebody of importance. And it was over instantly. All that build up for nothing. The Squadron uses a completely different system and feature than Trusts. In order to expand the Squadron content in the future, they do think that switching the system of Squadrons to utilize the same exact system as the Trusts after everything is updated would be a good idea. Until then, updates are stopped for this reason. There's an edit here. Since there are some tiny commotions going on in the subreddit right now, no, this doesn't mean Squadrons will be gone in the future, so don't worry about it. Do wait for Yoshi P's further announcement on the matter. Yeah, so apparently there was some confusion on the Reddit. But at the same time, basically the idea is that they want to... I think it's more of the idea of bringing the Squadron content up to par with the Trusts, and that's why it hasn't been developed further. You have to remember that the Squadron mission stuff was really a test bed for the tech that eventually made its way into being what we see now as the Trust system, and it's obviously, you know, leapt bounds ahead now, so it makes sense that they would want to bring that stuff back to Squadron missions, and obviously that probably means that we'll end up with more Grand Company ranks in the future when they've sort of addressed this. I'm sure they will use that again in the future, but again, we're waiting for announcements of that in the future. So, on the new story chapters post Heideling and Zodiac arc, so clearly there'll be spoilers here, the developer team aims to deliver a story that is akin to you, the Warrior of Light, once again taking the helm of a normal adventurer and heading towards solving new mysteries and adventure once again. That will be the concept here. Interesting. The storyboard for the next trailer expansion for 7.0 is now underway. Since 6.1 will make players go, wait, what? In various places, and that may make players get more and more confused and wondering where 7.0 will be heading, so please look forward to it. End quote. I'm even more excited now. And brand new adventure, new beginnings, we're an adventurer, and lots of wait what moments. Oh, count me in. So this is the other section then, coming towards the end of this. There will be various levels of optimization applied to the PS4 version of the game throughout the 6.x series before 7.0 lands. Currently, they aim to make sure the game runs smoothly, more so than before, and from there, apply the first graphical updates to PS4 as well. So obviously, in the live letter, they talked about the first graphical updates, and this is going to be the 6.x series leading up to 7.0 is their behind-the-scenes test bed, and 7.0 should actually release that. But they did mention during the live letter they're wanting to focus heavily on keeping PS4 support, so obviously optimization is key to that, especially on, 3 platforms that you can play Final Fantasy XIV at the moment, both Steam client, the regular PC client as well as PS4. Oh, sorry, I guess 5 platforms because of PS5 as well. That's a lot to take in, so it'll be a challenge, I'm sure, but I'm sure they can do it. There are 2 further questions to this. The first one is, are there any plans to create a streamer mode where they restrict how people will appear in streams? The answer is no. This is because during doing so will make 14 look like a single-player game with questionable definition of its actual genre, being an MMO. Also, it might be abused or used it unfavorably as well, they say. Will the graphical updates extend the character creation as well? Yoshi says this is a completely separate problem altogether. At this level, they can't really disclose whether it will do or not. Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. So there is actually further elaboration to that streamer mode context that Illuminori posts here. To give context to non-Japanese players, most Japanese players have a version of not wanting to appear in someone else's stream because their gameplay will be exposed publicly to people, and in extreme cases see unsolicited streaming as a breach and invasion of privacy. This is not really about the person having malice intentions to begin with, but more of a personal issue. Therefore, 14 streaming is not really something players will pick up because of the reclusive nature of 14 Japanese players. Even worse, when act is a thing to the Japanese players, They really don't like you displaying the numbers in front of an audience. While this doesn't mean you can't stream your play in Japanese data centers, it's always recommended to make really clear to the party involved that you're streaming in your party finder description, when talking to your static, etc., so that they don't get surprised for appearing in camera without being known. This is one of the unspoken rules in Japanese data centers, so hopefully this will help you understand the context behind that question. And there's also a further piece of context with this question: will there be some sort of score attack feature for any tutorial-based content, assuming intermediate haul is a thing in the future, which is the thing they talked about before? The answer to this is, since job balances are frequently tuned from patches to patches, it'll require constant maintenance on that content, and that's a tall order to fulfill. But do know that this scenario can be brought to the table when discussing with the developer team. It's also possible that the devs will be inclined to forego the opportunity to adjust specific skills if that means they had to make major maintenance on the scoring system. But this remains one of the scenarios among the issues that they need to go through. So they'll look into it and see how it goes. That's roughly it. Please don't know if there are any mistakes. Thank you, Elena Minore and the rest of the Reddit team for this. Yeah, so it's interesting to see how things differ with different data centers. There's obviously different sort of unwritten rules and things like that. It's definitely not saying that you can't, but there's definitely different cultural things that crop up. This will be especially interesting in the future from my perspective of, you know, obviously being a streamer myself. If they do eventually add cross-region as well, which is something that we've been hoping for the longest time, it'll be interesting to see how the clash of different cultures really works, especially with that kind of mandate of, you know, an unwritten rule of you don't really show people without them, you know, being asked first, at least on the Japanese servers. As a Western sort of player, we don't really worry about that too much. Me personally, though, I always address the situation by making it so that only initials show next to party members and people in the game. I have names pretty much turned off, apart from when I'm in a party and it's abbreviated. So, you know, that's how I get around that issue personally, but it'll be interesting to see how this is managed in the future. But hopefully this doesn't prevent things like cross-region from being something that YoshiP goes ahead with, because I would love personally to play with people from both Japan and America if possible. Latency be damned. Anyway, links in the description of this video will take you to the original LiveDog, LiveDoor, not LiveDog, I don't know what LiveDog is, livedoor.japan website with all of this digest, as well as a link, obviously, to the subreddit Discord where you can join and give them some love for all of their lovely work. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this was useful or helpful or interesting. I'm sure it was to me, so it probably was to you as well. Much love, and I'll see you all next time.